Good morning, Spiritual Life Center.
Is welcome here. My soul is welcome. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome. Your soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome. My soul is welcome. No matter what color, what culture, sexual orientation, political or religious affiliation. One God, many paths. Everybody's welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Whoa. Well, good morning,
Good
Elaine.
morning. Good morning, Reverend James.
Yes, your soul is welcome here, as is everyone else's.
And we greet you in the name of all that is good, all that is sacred, and all that is beautiful, in the light and love of this spiritual community, Spiritual Life Center. And if this is your first time here, whether in person or joining us on live stream, we know that you are not here by accident, but by
Divine appointment.
And we are so glad that you kept your appointment with us today. Here at Spiritual Life Center, we honor all people who are worshiping today around stone circles, in mosques, in temples, and in churches, in altars of nature, around mountaintops, sandy beaches, or flowery meadows, because we know there is no place that God is not. And we also honor you for silencing your cell phones right now as James leads us in an opening prayer for this Sunday experience.
We recognize that we are always able to have a direct connection with this presence. So we lowly listen for a moment so that we may hear or feel or sense our connection with this presence. We know that it's telling us in the feeling, if not in words. There's something magnificent within you waiting to be expressed, because you are a unique, unrepeatable expression of the presence and the power and the love of God, and contain every quality of this presence: peace, joy, and love itself. As we make that the activity of our awareness through every word we speak, every action that we take, and the thoughts that we hold, we radiate this energy field so that we anchor a little bit more of this everywhere that we go, so that when we are seen, we can say, "You have seen the presence that sent me." So we're grateful to be these vessels and vehicles as we go forth, amplifying and multiplying the all good right where we are. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
Amen. And on our Wow Wednesday program this week, we are going to talk about falling into divinity. And you'll get to hear all about that as our own Reverend Deborah Phillips interviews our own Rachel Lyman. So you won't want to miss that. That program is at 7, but you may want to come at 6 to join us for salad. And in terms of keeping that community salad meal going, we also want to announce that we are looking for those beautiful hearts who have a heart to serve in making salads. How many here have either currently are or have in the past been part of that beautiful team to make salads and soups for our Wow Wednesday? Look at that around the room. Thank you very much for your service. We currently have 3 teams that are doing that on a weekly basis, but if we can add you or call a friend and just make this so that once a month you can be of service, then we would love to have you join us and come see us at the welcome table and let us know, and we'll get you connected with more information. And at this time, I also want to bring up our own Becca, who has a few words about our Badassery 101 course starting Thursday.
Can you see I dressed to match the book? So good morning. I just wanted to remind you all that this Thursday night we have a very fun and exciting class coming up. It's called Badassery 101, and it's a...
Stop this announcement. You're being censored.
Who are you?
I'm with the Watt Avenue Censorship Organization.
Wacko?
Yes, I'm with Wacko. And I demand that you stop in the name of decency.
You know, there's nothing indecent about this class. It's actually a unique chance to join a smart, motivated group of people and get serious about your personal goals using meditation and fun exercises and coaching from Reverend James Trapp and Celia Coughlin-Cir.
If it isn't indecent, why did Facebook reject your ad 4 times for profanity?
Okay, that actually happened. But we convinced Facebook to support us eventually because we are marketing ninjas.
Well, why did a local newspaper publisher tell you you'd made a huge marketing mistake?
Okay, that happened too. But how could this class be a mistake when it's based on the #1 New York Times bestseller, You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life? Trust me, this class is so much more than decent. It's extraordinary. And, you know, you really ought to think about signing up. You're so motivated about this censorship thing. You're kind of a badass yourself.
Well, thank you. I mean, no. I could never take a class with the letters ASS in it.
Really? You would turn down a life-changing opportunity because of 3 little letters?
Oh, definitely. Why do you think I rejected a promotion to Assistant Vice President of WACO? No one should be subjected to such language.
Oh boy. You know, you are at Spiritual Life Center, which means you are standing in a room full of spiritual warriors. And no one here... I can guarantee that no one here is going to wilt because of a naughty word.
I might actually.
Well, could you wait to do it until after my announcement? I just want to make sure that everyone here knows that it's this Thursday night, and so that means today is the day to sign up and get your book in the courtyard if you haven't already, and I will see you Thursday for Badass... Okay, you know they can still hear me, right?
Oh, son of a...
Badassery 101 with Reverend James and Celia, everyone. It's gonna be a blast. Sign up today.
I'm watching you two.
Yes. I'm watching you. I think there's a song like that. All righty. Speaking of other activities going on at Spiritual Life Center, our upcoming Guys and Guitars at the Mystic Cafe has sold out. However, if you really want to hold that prayer consciousness and see how much of a prayer warrior you are, put yourself on the waiting list and see what happens. You can also sign up at the cashier to be on that list. So there'll be no tickets at the door, but you know, if you want to get there, I figure there's a way that you might.
All right. And also, our own Reverend Deborah Phillips is offering a workshop called Thought Belief Alignment. She'll show you how, in 7 easy steps, you can help process yourself, identify what those limiting beliefs are, and release them, and then replace them with a brand new belief so that you can align with them and achieve your personal goals. So plan to mark your calendars for Saturday, July 29th from 10 to 4. And if you haven't worked with Deborah before, she also leads our Thursday morning spiritual discussion group. So learn more about that in your bulletin and come check it out for some spiritual growth.
And also, this is the final Sunday to pledge your donation of household items for our World Relief Community Service Project, and you can drop them off next Sunday. And I think there's information in the courtyard about what we're doing.
And James, have you noticed there's been a theme today about our different announcements, whether it's all about being a badass or falling into your divinity or having an opportunity to get your thoughts and beliefs in alignment? It all seems to be about our transformation, which is all about our mission here at Spiritual Life Center. We're here to transform lives as we love and serve and remember. And with that in mind, it's been 20 beautiful years of this ministry, and we're here to next year as we celebrate that. We're starting already now with our commemorative Community of Friends of Spiritual Life Center directory. So we've already announced last week that we have August 4th and 5th to get your photo into that directory. You or your family members, there's no cost to you. You even get the free 8x10 that goes into the directory, and we'll actually give you an opportunity to get a free directory when you come and take your photo. So I have to tell you, we are down to 12 spots left from August. We did it online and people are signing up, so get in there now, and as soon as we get those 12 or less by now filled up, we have already talked about the next scheduled appointments, and we will continue to schedule those appointments until we get all the family and friends into that directory. So please get in the courtyard. The table is up to get those last few slots filled, and if you already know you're not going to be here on that August 4th and 5th, get on the wait list for that too, and you'll hear next week or in Jane's messages on Tuesday when the next weekend will be scheduled for the next photo shoot.
Sounds great. Now, the Heart of the Vision Quest mini retreat with Jan Garrett and J.D. Martin is taking place on Saturday, August the 25th between 1 and 4 p.m. It's a wholehearted soul retrieval through centering, mirroring, medicine wheel teaching, creating sacred space, and practicing the visioning process itself through our time-honored traditions, and we'll have music woven through this experience. So check that out on August the 26th between 1 and 4.
And we're entering into a great season. Beginning on October 1st, many of you are looking forward to this and look forward to it all year long. We are going to start gathering in small groups in homes around the region, and we'll start studying weekly chapters and discussing these study guide questions together as we develop our spiritual understanding and our own evolution. And we call this practice our faith in action. And this year, our book selection is going to be the newly released 25th anniversary edition of Gary Zukav's Seed of the Soul. So we're calling it our Season of the Soul, and we will, and those of you who are interested in being hosts again, or those interested in being a home facilitator, we will begin starting those sign-ups. So we have the books already in hand, so if you're interested in getting one of those ahead of time, please go see the cashier, and there's more details in the insert in your bulletin.
And also 12:30 today, you're welcome to gather to be part of the Youth Education Play Shop and Potluck, and the theme is Seeing the Divine Shine. And it's for all families, young and young at heart, and it's an ocean critter themed gathering. Okay, I read that correctly. Full of sun, sand, and summer celebration. It's going to start at 12:30 today.
Oh, you don't want to miss that. You'll miss the opportunity to get glittered up by our own Lori Villa, our youth ed director. And now, would our ambassadors and prayer chaplains please stand? Ambassadors are those who are wearing the rainbow ribbons, and they are here to offer you a warm welcome, answer your questions, and point you in the right direction so you can connect with all these activities and programs we have here at Spiritual Life Center. Now, our chaplains are here to hold us in our confidential prayer during our time of our human journey, whether that be of challenge or of joy. So please, they're wearing the white stoles, and they will be in the sanctuary or in the courtyard after service.
And if you're here for the very first time, in a moment we're going to ask you to raise your hand. But for now, we really want you to know about the opportunities that we have for you to get connected here. And if you fill out the welcome card, it'll be something that you can do at the end of the service, or you can turn it in at the welcome table that is in the courtyard as well. So we're going to have some very good gifts for you as well.
Yeah. And we like to give our newcomers a chalet. And on that chalet, there's a little tag that says, "We believe we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and that there are many paths to our one God." So if you're new with us today, please raise your hand and keep it raised. There's
Yes.
some over there and some over there. Great. And keep it raised. Our ushers are coming for you. Put on that chalet, and thank you for joining us on our path today. And let us all stand and greet our new guests and one another.
We invite you to stay standing as we get into our group song, Everything That I Need. to know about what lies before me, everything that I need to know about what lies before me is available to me, is available to me through the mind of God within me. Give it a try, here we go. Everything that I need to know about what lies before me, everything that I need to know about what lies before me is available to me, is available to me through the mind of God within me. Take it up. Everything that I need to do about what lies before me, everything that I need to do about what lies before me is available to me, is available to me through the mind of God within me. Take it up again. Everything that I need to release about what lies before me, everything that I need to release about what lies before me is available to me, is available to me through the mind of God within me. Everything that I need to accept about what lies, everything that I need to accept about what lies before me is available to me, is available to me through the mind of God within. Stay right there. Everything that I need, everything that I need to know about what lies, everything that I need to know about what lies before me is available to me, is available 3 times through the mind of God within, through the mind of God, through the mind of God within me. And please be seated.
Now I invite you to read along with me our vision statement. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions. Weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom, we cultivate the spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet.
Preparation for meditation. I invite you to take a nice deep breath and settle into your seat. Let freedom ring in my soul. Let freedom ring. Together. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring in my soul.
As we settle into meditation, I invite you to let the scratchiness of my voice fade into the background and let freedom ring in your soul. And as we breathe and go within, we relax and open, connecting to the essence of our true self. There is a voice within that guides our way. Maybe we call it our spirit. Maybe we call it us. From this place of awareness, notice who is noticing. Ah, it's you. This seat of our soul is our message delivery system, our thoughts. This part of me that is always present and always has been. You were never alone. You were always there with you. You and the divine are one. Breathe into that. From the moment of my birth, I have never been alone. Divine light lives as me. Our experiences have shaped us, planted seeds from long ago, when we may not have even known who we were. As we formed our core, we accepted opinions of others. We carried these with us, forgetting to question whether they were even true. Our mind is a busy place. Notice some of the messages you tell yourself. Are they kind and supportive? Maybe sometimes. Are they judgmental and condescending? Hopefully not, but maybe so. Do we talk to ourselves with hope and optimism? Or do our fears rule the day? Do we leave room for compassion, allowing ourselves to make mistakes and fall below that line of perfection, opening the door to forgiveness? Our subconscious is our compass, and we're mostly unaware of it. Old beliefs return unbidden. Yet we can reshape these messages just by noticing. So I invite you now, as we take some time in the silence, notice your messages and find one that you are willing to let go of. as we notice and release, gently let it flow away with the blessing of gratitude. We return to this place, breathing into the present, grateful for our time together. And so it is. Amen. And happy birthday, dear Ralph.
I used to think this world was just as it seems. I went crazy when I tried to change it. But after many years and miles, I finally come to realize I can simply change my mind to rearrange it. And what I believe, what I believe, what I believe is true for me. And what I believe, what I believe, what I believe is true may not be true for you. I've learned what seems to be is not reality, 'cause whatever we desire, we will see it. But we can get past this reflection to the mirror of the heart, where our vision of this world is blessed by spirit. And what I believe, what I believe, what I believe is true for me. And what I believe, what I believe, what I believe is true may not be true for you. Illusion wears me down after a while. Delusion will let me drown in denial. So if everything we see is only a dream, I must wake myself from this hallucination. 'Cause when we come awake, we understand that only love remains. And we bring this love to every situation. So what I believe, what I believe, what I believe is there is only love for me. And what I believe, what I believe, what I believe is true is there's only love for you. And what I believe, what I believe, what I believe is true is there's only love for me and you. Love for me and you.
what I believe. It kind of reminded me of a dream I had. I was trying to come up with how do you sum up the essence of, these spiritual teachings, and I came down to 8 words. It is done unto you as you believe. That's probably all I need to say. I can go home now. We can take the offertory. But it led me to thinking about this scriptural reference from Romans. And it says something to the effect that I don't understand. I say that to myself all the time. I don't understand what I'm doing. For I don't practice what I want to do, but instead I do what I should not do. Or as one person presented to me when they were going through kind of repeats in their life that they didn't like, they were asking me, James, why do I do what I do? And in my greatest voice of, what is that dog? Anyway, he said something, I don't know. Scooby-Doo, yeah. Scooby-Doo. I said, I don't know. That was my first reaction that came up in my mind. But I thought about that because, I decided I was going to eat healthy and get up late at night. I was going to go in there and get an apple to eat. And I opened up the refrigerator and something was calling me in the freezer. Some Haagen-Dazs ice cream. And I thought about that thing that says, why do I do what I should not do? And of course, I went to the ice cream and ate the ice cream. Maybe somewhere in the back of my mind, I had the belief that, yeah, apples are good, but ice cream is a whole lot better. But the author of the book that we're going to be in our class this week did a quote from an artist. Her name is Jenny Holzer. And she says something to the effect that we are the victim of the rules that we live by. But of course, here's the challenge. That we're not always consciously aware of what these rules are. Because oftentimes we're ruled by things that we accepted in what she calls our subconscious mind. The part that's really running our life. And this is the reason that sometimes we may sabotage ourselves right before we get success. Or do something really stupid to sabotage a perfectly good relationship. I don't know if anybody's ever done that in their life. Or allow another person, maybe a spouse, a boyfriend, or a friend, to maybe abuse us when we know we deserve better. Because we're not consciously aware of the rules that are running our life. Now, she knows that it's not our fault if we have these experiences from time to time. More often than not, we receive messages from maybe our parents, maybe we receive messages from institutions, from well-meaning individuals that tell us some things like, well, success is for other people. Our family has always had bad relationships. Or maybe we heard a message from someone that says, well, you're not good enough to do that. Or the world is a very dangerous place. Or, being a musician or being an artist, that's not a real career. And so we shun away from those things because we've accepted on some level that this is true. And so, because we're not fully aware, not fully awake, we let these things run our life. But here's the thing. Although we may not be at fault for how we may have reached this point in our life, but we are responsible whether or not we decide to stay there. In order to accept that responsibility and change our life, we must change these subconscious beliefs to become aware. Or otherwise, we'll continue to live an illusion based upon someone else's belief. That we may live these repeats over and over again. We may ask our question of ourselves, what the heck is my problem? I asked that myself, I don't know. So we're going to look at tools this week in that class that we can use to reframe those limited beliefs that we've accepted, changing our self-concept, changing the words that we use to describe who we are. Today, we're just going to look at some overarching strategies to change our life by transforming our minds. But like I said, the first thing we have to do is be aware. Because I always say that unless we're aware, we don't really have a choice. All we're doing is reacting the way we've always done in the past. But we want to reach the point where we no longer doubt our greatness and live the awesomeness that is waiting to get out. Because no matter what stage of life we may be in at this point, there's something telling us in a feeling or in words, there's always more in you to do more, to be more, and express more on who and what we are. And so, but in order to do that, we've got to take into these words that don't be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may discern what is the will of God and what is good and what is acceptable and what is perfect. And I think for transformation to take place, we must forget the history that maybe we've attached ourselves to. And we must build a new dream, a new vision, a new possibility for our life. I think everyone has that vision within them. You know, it's a spiritual idea waiting to be expressed. I was recalling the story, The Lion King. I was rewatching a version of it. The cartoon version, the animated version of it. And as I look over that movie, I said, man, I had a lot of metaphysical, spiritual lessons in that, you know, that I didn't see before. But as I remember that Simba, who was the I guess the lion cub, who was the son or what was that? Mufasa. What was his name? Mufasa. See, you all know. This is an interactive community. You know, you want to get some response, you just ask a question, you'll get an answer. And, you know, there was the meditative monkey there that was kind of like his guru figure. And he said, and Simba said to the meditative monkey, you knew my father. And the meditative monkey said, well, no, I know your father. And Simba said, well, you know, he's been dead for quite some time. He said, no. And he whacked him across the head, and they went, and they went over to a stream. And he had him look in the stream. And he said, the only thing I see is a reflection of me in that stream. And he said, look again, because when you see yourself, you are seeing the vision of your Father that is within you. Your Father, that vision lives in you. I think it's telling us in some way or shape or form that there's a vision that has its desire to be birthed in us. But we have to choose it. It means that we must begin our day and end our day that once upon a choice, we can make the choice each and every moment what direction we're going to go. That every moment we're at choice point and we can always choose the high road. But I think sometimes we live as if it's once upon a time. We put limits on those possibilities based upon what has happened in the past, and they bring them into the present moment. But we can make a choice to live totally differently by creating a different vision for our life and how we're going to show up. You know, I remember a woman who had a debilitating disease. You know, her parents had it. Many of her family members also had it. She also believed that she was destined to have it for herself. But then she ran across some teachings that said that, you know, you don't have to accept that. That by the birthright that she had something within her that was always healthy, that was always whole. And so she began to do the work of visualizing, meditating, doing the things differently in her life. And she was able to rise above that. I think she did that because she had to remember who she really was, rather than accept what people told her that she was limited to. And she had to be that in and as her life. You know, I remember there was a young kid I had seen one time, and she was a model for the Gap. And I said something to the effect, oh, you model for the Gap. She said, I am the Gap. I am it. She was being it totally and completely. I think we have to read our own mission in life. You know, we're supposed to here live every day fully and completely, leaving nothing on the playing field at all. And I think when we begin to really live that vision that is within us, we rise above those old beliefs that we've accepted and begin to step into something new. And we also discover sometimes the nagging problems that we sometimes have in our life, that we may go to someone to get prayer for and say, please, please, please get this out of my life. I think that's a song from James Brown, actually. You may say, I want to get rid of this. If only this would happen to my life. If only everything would be taken care of, this could happen, then I could live my life. But oftentimes we have it backwards. We want to brace a large possibility, a large vision for our life, and we will be pulled to it. And then we'll go above the seeming problems that we have in our day-to-day experiences. I think this is how we begin to change our life, by beginning to see ourselves differently and then being that each and every day. I think there's a divine plan waiting to be expressed through us. You know, I think for this to happen, we have to move away from simply coping with life or having what I call a coping consciousness to a transformational awareness. Many are stuck on the human level, believe they're cut off from the great whole of life. And they try to cope, and they use their energy to stay the same and try to change the external world. And they only grow through crisis, but they don't open up to the great insight that is everywhere. But I think you and I are here to make a commitment today that we're about change, we're about growth, we're about transformation, not merely coping with our lives, not even coping with our society. So we think about where our life, we've been trying how we can cope with the circumstances in our life, how to cope with that person, how to deal or cope with the things that are going on in the world. And if we're approaching life from that perspective, we're using this spiritual law as a defense mechanism. We're protecting ourselves, but we're hindering the flow of life coming through us. But ultimately, through crisis, we'll be swept up in the great law of increase anyway, because that's the nature of the universe, is to grow, develop, and unfold. And we get caught up in it anyway. And we'll come face to face with the God presence within us. And if we've not worked on ourselves, we'll think that somehow God is the demon of some sort. I used to think that. You may say, well, God, why is God picking on me? You know, we may say, well, God's picking on me again, like I'm the only one. Because I think our unspiritualized ego thinks that anything that comes along to change it, anything that comes along to transform it is negative, is bad, is evil. But when we realize we're here to grow, develop, unfold, we know that there are no demons out there. All of these things are nothing more than agents of change, agents of growth, agents of transformation, and then we'll begin to open up and allow it to take place. You know, that's what I think is happening in our society today. We're having a lot of change agents helping us open up to the higher possibilities within us. And I think in order for us to begin this foundation of change, is we have to tease it into our own life. And so sometimes what we need to do is just give ourselves an assignment every day. And the assignment has something to do with our oneness with the Spirit and the qualities of this presence. For instance, we might say, well, today my assignment is unconditional love. My assignment is peace. My assignment is generosity. My assignment is compassion for everybody. And then the very first person you run into is the exception to the rule. Because in our mind, we're saying, everybody but you. Now, this is a good thing. Because if we stick with our assignment, it'll give the ego something to do until the Spirit of God can do its work. You know, it keeps the ego busy until the Spirit can move through us. And sometimes we may be shaken up a little bit. We may ask, what have I gotten myself into? I started practicing this stuff. Before I practiced this stuff, I was kind of all right. I wasn't totally happy, but I wasn't sad either. But we want our life to be awesome. You know, we have to stay in tune with this presence that we call God. You know, I was talking to someone the other day, and they said, I have a real problem with this thing called God, these words. I have an allergy. I used to have the allergy to these words as well, till I started reinterpreting them. Jen in her book, calls it the G word. But we can look at it, it's really nothing more than unlimited source energy, unlimited love energy. And we're connected to it all the time. Most of us are just using a very small portion of it. And I said to this person, you can call it whatever you want. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it Atman, more power to you. You want to call it the Christ presence, more power to you. You want to call it Allah, it's okay with God. You want to call it God, it's okay with Allah. It's all right. Our job is simply to call it forth as the activity of our awareness so we can move beyond the previous formation of our life. Sometimes our transformation begins by having a spiritual experience. When we begin to see things a little differently, we begin to create a new dream for our life. I was going through my own dark night of the soul many, many years ago. And I had to start by, practicing some of these principles, forgiveness, self-forgiveness in my own life. I think it created a clearing for me. And I remember one day I was walking down the street and maybe in a state of surrender. And it seemed to me everything around me seemed to collapse into a sea of oneness. There was no separation between me and other people. There was no separation between me and the environment or the trees. It was something that was beyond words I really couldn't explain. But, later on I went to somebody and I said, guess what happened? I met God. I saw God. And everybody looked at me like, okay, let's turn the channel and watch the game. Later on, I asked somebody, what were folks thinking about me when I was saying that? I was very exuberant about it. They said, well, we know you weren't trying to lie to us or kid us. We just thought that you were a little crazy. Well, sometimes I say, let people know or think that you're crazy. It's all right. Sometimes we just want to be a fool for God. There was a man that I saw one day. He was walking, down the street. He had one of those sandwich boards on him. And he was walking up and down the street, and on the front of the board it said, I'm a fool. I'm a fool. I'm a fool. And people were looking at him, and he was wearing this sign and wondering about him. And then on the back of the sign it says, I'm a fool for God. Who are you a fool for? You were saying I'm a fool, but I'm a fool for the presence of God. Who are you a fool for? So I say this morning, just be crazy. Be a fool for God. Step into that unlimited source energy. Break free from the limited thinking and agreements that maybe we've accepted up until this point that are running our life. And in this particular dimension, we may have accepted the lesser things in our life. But if we connect with that presence, it is there that we live and we move and we have our beingness, and then we're open up to change. Oftentimes I have found that, so many people, they want to stay the same while they change the external world. They want to stay the same while they change their relationships. They want to stay the same while they change the society. But all of that is impossible. We have to be willing to change ourselves first, and then the external world begins to correspond to what's going on within us. But we have to be fully aware of where we are in our own awareness, our own consciousness, and begin to move in the direction of the vision that Spirit has for us. And something will begin to happen for and as our life. It will begin to anchor a new heaven and a new earth. God needs us to shine God's light in our world. We can't depend upon anybody else. Somebody said, well, other people have done it, but they've done their part. We have to do our part. And so we're going to be talking about in this class later this week, what are our beliefs? What's underneath that? What do we need to transform those things in order for us to move into the highest possibility of who and what we've come here to be? And as we begin to do that, we will start living the awesome life that we're here to live and begin to see the world that God sees when we are at our highest and our best. I believe that's our commission, that is our charge, and why we are here. Be more next week. Till next time. And so it is. Amen. And as the musicians are coming forward, let us take our love offering, our gifts, our tithes, and then see them going out and supporting others in our community, in this community, to make a difference in people's world so they can be transformed and bring forth the highest and best within them. And with that, symbolically raise your gift to the heavens or ever-expanding good. Raise your gifts to this presence that we are part of. And with that awareness of we can never outgive the presence of God, let's say our offertory blessing. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
Cannot change the world we see till change begins in you and me. We change the world around us when the change begins within. So let the change begin. Let the change begin. Let the change begin within. We cannot change the world we see till change begins in you and me. We change the world around us when the change begins within. So let the change begin. Let the change begin. Let the change begin within. Let the change begin. Let the change begin. Let the change begin. Let the change begin within. A lesson from the willow tree is strength and flexibility. When nothing seems to go my way, it's time to learn to sway. So let the change begin. Let the change begin. Let the change begin within. Patiently, courageously, be the change you wish to see. So let the change begin. Let the change begin. Let the change begin within. Let the change begin. Let the change begin. Let the change begin. Oh, let the change begin. Let the change begin. the change begin. Let the change begin within.
Let the change begin within.
Let the change begin. Let the change begin.
Oh,
Let the change
let the
begin.
change,
Let the change
let the change, let the change begin.
Let the change
Let the change begin.
Let the change
Let the change begin. Let the change begin.
Let the change begin within.
The change. Let the change begin within, right here, right now, within us. And with that awareness, let us bless the tithes and offerings, knowing they're going to bless the givers and receivers on all levels of their being as we go forth, changed beings, to anchor a little bit more of good in this world. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. And with that, let us come together and sing our peace song.